Look into my eyes. When you see me on a show, when you see these fans, you know you've got the best in the damn world.
This is the Wrestling Matters podcast where we stand up for professional wrestling.
Here we fucking go!
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change!
Professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up! Yes! 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 Yes!
That's 13-14!
Dina, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold said so.
Beautiful people! Ladies and gentlemen, it's me, the HEAD, back with you for another installment of the Wrestling Matters podcast. How are we all? Hope you guys are well. In what was a very, very weird wrestling this week, very weird wrestling week, which I'll get to later, big time. Today's show, we're going to talk Raw, Smackdown, NXT, 205, and then who else? TNA, and I've got some things I want to discuss about TNA as well. Ring of Honor and ICW. That's right. Also, I want to talk about SmackDown's main event potential as well. We'll talk about that later. Could TNA get a new network in Britain? Could there be a possible thing that TNA may very well get ITV? More on that later as well. Also, the 10 best matches in Progress Wrestling so far. I will review that this week on the Wrestling Matters podcast as well. So, a lot to come on the podcast. And yeah, this podcast is on the Swerve Network. Swerve Network features Ruthless Aggression Era podcasts, S&M Show, Offshoot Radio, Sunday Segway, check out Sunday Segway TV, Max Wrestling, and the list goes on and on. A lot of shows coming onto that network as well. And it's a beautiful thing, ladies and gentlemen. Like I've said many, many times, you will not be disappointed. Be sure to check it out each and every week. Also, you can check out the Wrestling Matters podcast at WM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook.com/WM Podcast, Radio Big World, look them up on SoundCloud, download this episode on my SoundCloud page as well, Wrestling Matters Podcast. Also, AJW Wrestling Matters on YouTube. Each and every week you get to listen to the podcast on that episode as well. Also, check out my partners as well, OSW TV, The Raging Falcon, the list goes on and on. Check them all out as well. Also, shout out to Michael Larkin, Wrestling Unleashed. New episode is out now. Go and find it. Also, Wrestle Island. Check them out, Facebook.com/Wrestle Island, Facebook.com/Mystery Island. Their show is coming on March 26th. More information will be coming on the upcoming podcast as well. I will talk to them this week. I haven't had time to talk to them because I've been very busy myself, but I'll get some information this week and I'll bring it to you next week on the podcast. Be sure to check it out. If you want more information, like I said, Facebook.com/Wrestle Island. Be sure to check that out. And that about wraps it up for the promotions. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I will talk about the ending of this later on the podcast, but it seems that from what we've gathered, ladies and gentlemen, Luke Harper is going to be added to this WrestleMania main event for the WrestleMania match between Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. Because Randy Orton came out on SmackDown and says he refuses to fight Bray Wyatt. And it looks like they're setting up a match, as we've seen this past week on SmackDown. It's going to be a battle royal, AJ Styles and Luke Harper with the final two. More on that later. But it has been plugged in or penciled in that Luke Harper is going to get involved. So we could see a triple threat match, and we probably will see, at the rate it's going, a triple threat match between Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, and Luke Harper for the WWE Championship. Now, I said this on the Wrestling Unleashed podcast this past week. Could we see Luke Harper as WWE Champion? And hypothetically speaking, can Luke Harper be taken seriously as a WWE Champion? Now, don't get me wrong, guys. Elimination Chamber, Luke Harper had a hell of a match with Randy Orton. And there is some of that, is it Brody Lee kind of gimmick that he's bringing in there as well? But if they were going to do this, they need to make a how can I put this, badass gimmick. I think Dave said this on the Wrestling Unleashed. They need to make him more badass for me. Can he have the potential to be a great WWE champion? Yeah. Anybody can. But when you're the top guy in the business or top guy in the company, the WWE champion, you have to be, it's not just your peers or the boss you're convincing, it's also the fans as well. And I've got no issues with Luke Harper should they make him a WWE champion. Will it be too early for him? Yeah, it would. To be honest, I would rather see Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt, if that's if that's all the same. Is there a possible potential fatal four-way in the horizons as well? Could they add AJ Styles to the mix? We will see. Like I said, I'll talk a bit more about that later on. But Luke Harper being a WWE champion, I could see it happening. Will they allow it at WrestleMania this year? No, I don't think so. I think, and I truly believe, somehow, some way, Randy Orton will walk out WWE champion. Sorry, Bray. Yeah, I kind of hope Bray keeps the belt, but as we've known in the past, Royal Rumble winners tend to get the championship. Apart from the Royal Rumble where Triple H ended up winning it and became WWE champion. But yeah, I think it needs that kind of dynamic. It has Orton win the belt. I don't know how this is going to play because there's a rumor flying around that Bray's going to be turning face soon. There's a rumor flying around. I don't know. I don't know how this will work out, but is it too early for Luke Harper to be WWE champion? Yeah. Maybe give it a couple of months, maybe 2 months, maybe a month, whatever. But you've got to make him badass. If you make Luke Harper badass, a badass like gimmick, and make him dominant, at least try to make him dominant, maybe you will get some. Maybe you can get somewhere and push him to that championship run. But that's the only way they'll probably be taken seriously as WWE champion in my eyes. It's difficult choice. I personally, talking WrestleMania, I would much rather see Randy Orton one-on-one with Bray Wyatt. That's just, but they want to add Luke Harper in, and I got no qualms with it. Hey, Luke Harper had a hell of a match with Randy Orton at the pay-per-view, Elimination Chamber. My opinion is still the show, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. One more thing before I wrap this part up. It seems that Shaquille O'Neal and this Big Show match that's been penciled in for months now seems to be called off, according to reports. And Big Show's been having a go at him, saying that he's ducking out, or he's trying to duck out in the match. I believe nothing's been confirmed yet from it. I believe it's media stirring shit up, to be honest. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens. If I have any more information on that, I'll let you know in upcoming podcasts. I believe it's media stirring shit up. Hopefully this will go ahead, otherwise all the trading the Big Show's done over the months would be a waste of fucking time. Although he does look good. Yes, Big Show has a six-pack, ladies and gentlemen, if that was even possible. Big Show has a six-pack. But yeah, I hope this goes ahead for Big Show's sake, otherwise a lot of the hard work would be flushed down the toilet, if you will. But we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. Like I say, if I have any more information, any more updates, I will give you them on this podcast, if not next episode's podcast. But we'll have to wait and see. But like I say, Big Show looks good, and we'll have to wait and see how this pans out. But it seems it's going down, and I believe it's just media speculation. But like I say, you believe it when you see it at the end of the day. And that about wraps this part up, guys. Sorry it's a little bit short, but like I said, I wanted to get that bit in. I've got a lot more things to talk about during the podcast as well, like TNA getting possible ITV deal, ITV over here in the UK, and many more things as well. Plus the Progress Wrestling Top 10 Best Matches so far. I believe it's 2017. I might be wrong, but it's a Top 10 Progress Wrestling Best Matches thing. So I'll look into it and I'll let you know. You will get it during this podcast. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. This has been part 1, and I'll be back in part 2. So stick around. If you enjoyed the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not check out the Wrestling Matters podcast right now on YouTube at AJW Wrestling Matters. You can also check it out on SoundCloud at Wrestling_Matters_podcast. That's /Wrestling_Matters_podcast. Also, check it out on Radio Big World as well. For more information on them, you can check them out on SoundCloud and the Swerve Talk Network as well. For more each and every week of the Wrestling Matters podcast, weekly podcast that talk about the best in professional wrestling today, whether it's WWE, Ring of Honor, TNA, ICW, Progress Wrestling, and the list goes on and on. Only the best in professional wrestling. Why? Because wrestling matters, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to part 2 of the Wrestling Matters podcast. And now it's time for the Raw reviews. Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and 205. Let's do the 205 and NXT. Let's start with NXT first. NXT's results were Peyton Royce defeated Liv Morgan and Ember Moon to become the number 1 contender for the NXT Championship. The NXT Women's Championship, that is. Good luck to you when you face Asuka, because no doubt she's going to kick your teeth in. Pete Dunne made his debut and wrestled Mark Andrews and beat him. And NXT Champion Bobby Roode defeated No Way Jose, but then he felt the wrath of Cassius Ohno, Chris Hero, to you and I. And it looks like Chris Hero is gunning for one Bobby Roode. So this could be good, this could be bad for Chris Hero. We'll have to wait and see on that one. 205's results were, as follows, if I can find a thing. Yeah, I do. 205 results were: the Brian Kendrick defeated Tozawa by countout. Noam Dar beats Mustafa Ali, and gentleman Jack Gallagher defeated Tony Nese. Now we go to Raw, ladies and gents. We go to Raw. Monday Night Raw. Let's do that first. This coming Raw is Seth Rollins' return, and so is Goldberg, but I want the results. The results of Raw are as follow. We have WWE Universal Champion Kevin Owens addressing Goldberg and his betrayal of Chris Jericho. Very good promo to kick off the show. Enzo Amore, Big Cass defeat Cesaro and Sheamus to become the number one contenders for the Raw Tag Team titles. I'll get to that in a second. The Brian Kendrick attacked Tozawa, which led to their match on 205. Raw Tag Team Champions Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson defeat Roman Reigns via disqualification. What the hell was that all about? I don't know. And what the hell has been going on in this story between these, handicap matches and everything? I don't know. New Day defeat Rusev and Jinder Mahal. Nia Jax defeats Sarah, continues her push, if you will, rather. Before that was Neville and Jack Gallagher signing their WWE Cruiserweight Championship match contract. Sasha Banks defeats Charlotte Flair, all from the mess when Stephanie wanted Bayley to give up the Women's Championship, but Bayley stood her ground and everything, and he even saved Sasha in the same way that Sasha saved her and made her win the Women's title, because Dana Brooke tried to get involved, which was to no avail. WWE Universal Champion Kevin Owens defeated Sami Zayn for the millionth time, and Braun Strowman defeated Sami Zayn for the millionth time, thanks to Samoa Joe. And Braun Strowman defeated Big Show, in which was a pretty okay main event, to be honest, because the previous times Big Show has been in the main event of Raw, it stunk the joint out. Or having two big behemoths in the main event of Raw has literally stunk the joint out, basically. But yeah, I mean, it was what it was at the end of the day. It was a good match. It allowed Strowman to show his power and be powerful, and Strowman managed to get the victory, which was a thing of beauty, to be honest. As for the Raw Tag Team Championship situation, so much for the triple threat match that was planned, because now it seems Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson at Fastlane will have to defend their titles against Enzo Amore and Big Cass, because, yeah, I don't know. Something's going to go down in that match. We'll have to wait and see, though. But I will say this, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get me wrong on this. I do love Enzo and I do love Big Cass. But lately, Enzo has become an annoying little shit, quite frankly. And the best part of that match was seeing Enzo get kicked in the face at the end. He was rubbing it in. And you know the fans agreed with me on this one because you heard them shout, "Thank you, Sheamus." So, yeah, it was what it was at the end of the day. But, yeah, it was just ridiculous. But it seems that Enzo and Big Cass will be the number one contenders going into the tag team title match. As for SmackDown, pretty much a horrible start to SmackDown. It was a mediocre SmackDown, to be honest with you. Don't get me wrong, SmackDown's been kicking Raw's ass, but it was quite weird this week, to be honest. Naomi relinquishes the championship, the SmackDown Women's Championship. She won't be going to WrestleMania from what I'm hearing. And Alexa Bliss defeats Becky Lynch to win the women's title. I'll get that out in a second. American Alpha defeat Breezango. Natalia defeated Nikki Bella thanks to Maurice. Seeds have been planted there for the mixed tag match. Same in the 10-man tag when Cena eliminated Miz and then Miz eliminated Cena. But yeah, the 10-man tag for Bray Wyatt's championship at WrestleMania ended in controversy. I'll get to that in a second as well. But I want to start off this. Whoever came up with this idea wants shooting. Because if this was me, Naomi had to relinquish the title because when she won the title at Elimination Chamber, apparently she picked up a serious injury and she had to relinquish the belt. So basically, WWE SmackDown basically just said, "Here, we'll give you the belt back." That's what she did. Yes, you put Alexa Bliss and Becky Lynch one-on-one, and I got no problem with Becky Lynch at all. But couldn't you have done like a six-pack challenge at WrestleMania, which would have been more interesting? Yeah, put Becky Lynch in, put Alexa Bliss in, no problem. But basically, on SmackDown, you basically handed the belt back to Alexa Bliss. You didn't make her earn it. Now, the reason why I'm saying all this, guys, is whatever happened to opportunity? Yeah, you gave her an opportunity to win it back, but basically you just handed the belt over to her. That's what you did. And I didn't like that one bit. And hopefully Alexa loses the belt at WrestleMania, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, SmackDown has, there was a poll on WWE.com this past weekend, who has the better women's division, SmackDown or Raw, and I picked SmackDown, and SmackDown was winning it by 63%. And the reason why Raw was losing, because Raw was hot potatoing the championship. That's why. But yeah, if you got, like I say, if you're going to give an opportunity, what you should have done was make Alexa Bliss qualify for a six-pack challenge, and I would have had a six-pack challenge match at WrestleMania. 6 of the best women compete at WrestleMania, the winner walks out champion. But you didn't do it. Now, speaking of champion, 10-man tag battle royal ended up going down to Luke Harper and AJ Styles, and we all know what's going to happen. Luke Harper's going to win the match eventually. He's going to win the match this coming week on SmackDown, which is based off this. But anybody with a brain could see that AJ Styles' feet hit the floor. And apparently on Twitter, WWE sent a GIF out of the ending of SmackDown, and everybody could see AJ Styles' feet hit the floor. Anybody with a brain could see that. AJ's feet hit first. But what was meant to happen was a reminiscence of, if that's even a word, of 1994's Royal Rumble when Luger and Brett went out together. That's what was meant to happen, but it kind of didn't work that way, but they tried to save it as that kind of way. You didn't need to have a one-on-one. The right person at the end of the day won. The right person at the end of the day won. It was meant for them to both go out at the same time, but it didn't work that way, did it? And you could clearly see that on the replay. So now we have to have this one-on-one match, which no doubt Luke Harper is going to end up winning. I've already talked about what happened in terms of Luke Harper becoming WWE Champion in part 1. But yeah, good SmackDown, don't get me wrong, but it was a bit of a clusterfuck as well. It was a bit of a clusterfuck there, in my opinion. But that ends this part, guys. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. I'll be back in part 3 with TNA and Ring of Honor, so stay tuned.
Wrestling fans, look no further for the most unpredictable wrestling podcast you've ever heard on the Max Wrestling Podcast, hosted by me, Dazzy Dangerously, with everybody's favourite captains, The Phoenix, The Butcher, and Mike Larkin, plus special guests, promos, and trivia.
Find out what's been going on in wrestling history as I take you down memory lane every week.
And the Butcher's Stupid Idiot of the Week gets it!
And see if you agree with me as I choose every week's segment of the week in the world of wrestling.
The Max Wrestling Podcast is available on
YouTube, Podomatic,
Mixcloud, and Soundcloud.
And the Swerve Talk Network with other great shows.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Max Wrestling UK, or go to our website, maxwrestling.wix.com/maxwrestling.
And that's the bottom line.
because we're out of time.
Yalakalikimaka.
Listen in, man.
Be sure to listen to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast.
What?
Every Sunday with Kinny Killer and the Galdem Sugar Shubs.
Yes! Yes!
With all the news, views, and laughter that you want.
They like jet airplanes. They like long limousines.
Every Sunday, the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube.
So why don't you choke on that, slap nut?
Welcome back to part 3 of the Wrestling Matters podcast, guys. Hope you guys are well. This is part 3. This is TNA and Ring of Honor. And we'll start with TNA. Tyrus defeated Eli Drake by disqualification. Jesse Goodhouse defeated Bram with Kingston. Josh Barnett defeated Bad Bones. And Trevor Lee retained his X Division Championship. Also, Cody Rhodes turns heel on Moose, and there's a program working with them as well, which was probably the best thing about that show. And I'm loving Cody Rhodes' work at the moment, loving it. And also a few other things here and there. But I will say this, guys. Next week, little spoiler for you, it seems that it's going to be Bobby Lashley one-on-one with Josh Barnett, and Josh Barnett becomes TNA World Champion. But at the moment right now, it is planned for Josh Barnett to be TNA World Heavyweight Champion at some point. Whether it's next week, I guess we'll find out. But yeah, it is what it is. At the end of the day, you can't fault it. What it is what it is. Right, let's go quickly to Ring of Honor. We'll do Ring of Honor's results, and then I want to go back to TNA and talk about something. So, Ring of Honor's results, if I can find it. ROH's results, which the main event was Jay Briscoe and Christopher Daniels this week as well. So, yeah, Ring of Honor Wrestling's results. If I could find it, would be grateful. Can't seem to find it, ladies and gents. This is going to be great. Let's go back to that. ROH results, TV results, 2nd February 2017. 2nd of February 2017. Fallout from no, that's not it. Can't seem to find it, ladies and gentlemen. This is not fair. There we are. Ring of Honor review 20. There we go. I'll take that. 22nd of February 2017, Ring of Honor. We have Silas Young defeated Bull James. Colt Cabana defeated the Boys in a 2-on-1 handicap match, and Christopher Daniels beats Jay Briscoe in the finals of the Decade in the finals of the Decade of Excellence tournament, and he gets his shot against Adam Cole at the upcoming Ring of Honor show. So yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be good, ladies and gents. That was Ring of Honor, but I want to go back to not Ring of Honor, TNA. Because there was a rumour over the weekend, from what I got from Dave, who's the host of the Ruthless Aggression podcast, as well as the Wrestling's Worst, or the Worst of Wrestling podcast. I haven't got used to that name yet. Sorry, Dave, if you listen to this. But he told me that there was something going down because of what ITV did when they had the World of Sport on. That was just a test to see if people would get it, people would still watch wrestling. There's a rumour flying around that something's going down involving Jeff Jarrett, and something's going down involving ITV, probably one of our top channels here in the UK, bringing TNA to their network. Could we see TNA on ITV? Now, I don't know about you, but I'll be down for that. And it'd be good for TNA because then they'll have a UK base. They'll have a UK network. Yeah, I'd be cool with that, to be honest. Wonder what you guys will say on that. Okay, if you want, at WN Podcast on Twitter, or leave a comment, whether you listen to this on SoundCloud or YouTube, just leave a comment there below. I wouldn't mind seeing TNA on ITV because it'll be good for the brand, and not only that, I think it's a better network than Challenge, and you'll be able to bring TNA to an audience in the UK, because like Dave said, Dave was correct. Believe this or not, ladies and gentlemen, TNA has more of a following over here in the UK than it does in America. TNA is a huge hit over here in the UK. People love TNA over here. When they come here and sell out, when they come here and do a tour or anything like that, they sell the places out. Something like that. People get TNA over here, and I would mind seeing it on ITV, to be honest with you. It's about time a network of an ITV caliber started bringing some wrestling back, man. They need to bring wrestling back. Because hey, if they bring TNA, I'd watch TNA, even if it is or will be a load of rubbish. But I'd watch it. Anywho, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of this part. That was TNA and Ring of Honor, and I'll be back in part 4 with ICW. So stay tuned.
Hey guys, this is Mike Larkin.
And this is Stevie Nicks.
To check out the S&M Show podcast and more great audios, check us out on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/MCLarkin92. And we are now on the Swerve Talk Network, Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 3 a.m. UK time, along with the Max Wrestling Podcast, Offshoot Radio, Sunday Segway, and the Wrestling Matters Podcast. And also follow us on Twitter at SMShow1 and at SteveNicksSM. You won't be disappointed. Peace.
Welcome back to part 4, ladies and gentlemen, and yes, you heard the music. It is time for ICW. That's right, ICW, where ICW matters, basically, the professional wrestling at its very best. ICW Fight Club this past week, which was headlined by the New Age Clique going up against the one-time reunion Bucky Boys, and it was what it was. But we'll kick off with Casey, Martina, and Viper in a great three-way until it was interrupted by Kaylee Ray, and she was out to get Viper, and Ray fights back after Viper attacks her and everything like that, or manages to get one on her before Kaylee fights back. And then Martina wins with a submission, which I believe was her version of the Mandible Claw. You go and figure that out. A great Zero-G title match involving Lewis Garvin and Kelly Williams. See, is Kelly Williams getting the Duke, and Lewis Garvin this time admitting that he dropped the ball, because usually it's always been referees' bad decisions and that, but this time he dropped the ball and he admitted it. Lionheart came out with some choice words for Joe Henry, and for some strange, unknown, stupid reason beat up a fan. What for, I don't know, but he did. And yeah, maybe that was to send a message to Joe Henry. Dave Mastiff went one-on-one with Jack Jester. Jack Jester wins a hard-fought match, but Drew has a message for Jack Jester on the Videotron about explaining how Jester turned his back on him and whatnot, but Mastiff took advantage of that and managed to make a statement at Jester's behalf. Christopher Saint finally got his one-on-one match with Liam Thompson, and Liam Thompson lost thanks to a little help from Debbie Sharp and Christopher Saint's crew, but Christopher Saint ain't complaining. And then Sami Zayn and Debbie Sharp manages to have their moment after kicking Liam's ass, if you will. Backstage, however, Christopher Saint manages to cut a promo, or was cutting a promo until Liam interrupted him, and then Christopher Saint manages to give some home truths to Liam Thompson. Will they have any effect? I guess we'll see in the upcoming episodes of Fight Club, rather. The Bucky Boys, Davey Boy now, Stevie Boy, went up against the somewhat tag team of BT Gunn and Chris Renfrew in the New Age Clique, because these two did not come out together. These two came out separately, which was very odd, I must admit. But Gunn, they both took the fight to each other. It was a great tag match. Gunn takes a fall from the balcony, because him and Stevie Boy were up there on the balcony fighting and everything, and then Gunn takes the fall and goes through the tables feet first, and then the Bucky Boys win the match and end up basically destroyed the NAK. But the question is, as Fight Club went off there, is this the end of the NAK? Is this officially the end of the NAK? You know, because when Guns came back before Square Go, he stuck a finger right in Chris Renfrew's face. These two have not been seen eye to eye, and plus they've been beat the hell out of each other in Square Go. Is this the end of the NAK, the two original members, that is? I guess we'll find out in the upcoming weeks on Fight Club. That about wraps the ICW part of this podcast up, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be back with the top 10 best matches of 2016 according to Progress Wrestling fans. Stay tuned.
Be sure to listen to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast.
What?
Every Sunday with Kinny Killer and the Galdem Sugar Shubs.
Yes! Yes!
With all the news, views, and laughter that you want.
They like jet airplanes. Woo! They like long limousines.
Every Sunday, the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube.
So why don't you choke on that, slap nut?
Welcome back to part 5, ladies and gentlemen, of the Wrestling Madness podcast. Hope you guys are enjoying it so far. Hope you guys are loving what you're seeing so far. Or hearing, rather, so far. I don't know why I say seeing for, because it's not in there. But anyway, this is part 5. I'm going to give you the top 10 Progress matches of 2016. I'm going to review them. So, yeah, Progress Wrestling. If you don't know what it is, then I'm sorry, but you're an idiot. Go and check them out. In my opinion, one of the best promotions, if not the best promotions in the UK today. Probably the top 2 for me. No disrespect to any other promotion out there. You can't beat Progress at the moment. Progress is the shit, if you will. Number 10, Chapter 40, Adam Cole, Will Ospreay. Holy shit, was this insane. One of the rare appearances from Adam Cole, but yeah, this was just phenomenal. Back and forth stuff. Not the first time these two have had a match. Good stuff. Quick pace. Loved it. Hard-hitting stuff. Number 9, from the same show, Pete Dunne and Zack Sabre Jr. for the Progress title. Pete Dunne is a rising superstar, as you well know, from the UK Championship. And you can put him in the ring. You can put anyone in the ring with Zack Sabre Jr. He will either bring the best out of them, or he'll bring the best match out of them. Because that's what Zack Sabre Jr. is all about. I mean, this guy stretched Pete Dunne to his limits, and I mean literally. Go back and watch the match if you haven't seen it, Chapter 40. And Pete being the champion, hard-hitting kicks, that soccer kick that Zach does, Jesus Christ. Chapter 25, Chat Shit Get Banged, which was Marty Scurll and Will Ospreay again, which is number 8. Now, if you've seen Will Ospreay and Marty Scurll wrestle in Ring of Honor matches, you could probably understand how this match turned out. In terms of a quality match, you could probably understand that. These two are so good. There's phenomenal stuff, and you wonder why they've both been champion. And what was great about this match is the fact that Marty Scurll actually powerbombed Will through the announce table, which very rarely gets used. But hey, it was what it was. Again, Will Ospreay's at number 7, chapter 39, and his match with Matt Riddle, a guy who was once in the UFC, but he's done himself proud, man, in Progress. Again, another awesome match featuring Will Ospreay. Will can have a match with anybody and it'll be good. Matt Riddle, current Atlantis champion, I believe it is, brought the best out of him and I believe beat him as well, because that was when what I call it was on a very poor losing streak. Will Ospreay, that is, in Progress Wrestling. Next match was Tommy End and Chris Hero from Super Strong Style 16 Day 2. These two literally beat the hell out of each other. Super Strong Style 16, it pretty much does exactly what it says on the tin. And this is a very big, weighted Chris Hero. Thankfully, he's not like that now, but apparently he has an illness that causes him that and everything, so it is what it is. But it was a great match nonetheless, hard-hitting stuff. Number 5 is Mark Haskins and Johnny Gargano from 5,000 to 1. I love Mark Haskins, love Johnny even more, but Mark Haskins, this was before Johnny ended up in WWE. Just great stuff, man. Back and forth stuff. And Mark Haskins proved why he is now, or was, or became even, the Progress Wrestling Champion. Chapter 36, Marty Scurll, Mark Haskins, and Tommy End. The night Mark Haskins became the Progress Wrestling Champion as well. And also the night one Jimmy Havoc returned. If you haven't seen this match, go back and watch it for the Jimmy Havoc return. If not this, because it was insane. Just unbelievable. Great triple threat match, 3-way match. Again, which set up the whole situation. Marty loses the plot, almost attacks Jim Smallman until Jimmy Havoc saves the day. And then Mark Haskins, with his version of the sharpshooter, makes Marty tap out to win the championship. Chapter 34, 2 shows prior to that, saw a dream match, quite frankly, which in my opinion stole the show. Hard-hitting, back-and-forth tag team war involving the then tag team champions, the London Riots, against Ring of Honor's War Machine. That's right, War Machine. 2 badasses, 2 badass tag teams, and you can only imagine how this turned out. This hard-hitting brawl, street fight, whatever you want to call it. Oh, good grief. I think Ring of Honor would have been proud of this, to be honest. London Riots manages to retain the title. From Strong Style 16 Day 1, saw Mark Andrews go one-on-one with Chris Hero. Again, Chris Hero has another match, again from the same show. Which saw Chris Hero advance. I believe he advanced in this match. Yeah, just even with the size Chris Hero was at the time, because he was a bit, you could probably say overweight, but even for the size he was, he could still have a good match with anybody. Doesn't matter how size he was, what he was, skip, whatever, he could still have a good match with anybody. And Mark Andrews, again, could have a great match with anybody as well, because he is really, really good. Shame TNA didn't see that. And Chapter 31 was your number 1, which saw Marty Scurll one-on-one with Chris Hero. Again, Chris Hero, proven that without the machine behind him, he can still go to different places and have great matches. And he had a hell of a match with Marty Scurll here, and just back and forth, great stuff. It was just great to watch. And guys, if you haven't seen these Progress shows, all the matches are available for $4.99 per month at Progress On Demand, which is demand-progress.com, only for $4.99 a month. All the matches that are in this top 10, I'll leave a link to this top 10 in the description below. All the matches, they're all available if you want to go and check them out. And if you don't believe what you see in the video, go and check out all the matches, and you soon will, and you'll soon understand the reason why they're in the top 10. Unbelievable stuff, ladies and gentlemen. And that about wraps that up for this Progress Top 10, the Progress section of the podcast. I'll be back in a bit with an outro and what's to come on the Wrestling Matters podcast, and what's to come in other podcasts as well, because you might want to check it out too. So, see you in a bit. Are you sick of professional wrestling? Do you want to speak your mind about professional wrestling? Well, if you like a wrestling podcast, why not tune in to the wrestling podcast where wrestling matters? The Wrestling Matters Podcast. Each and every week, I talk about the best in professional wrestling from WWE, TNA, ICW, Progress Wrestling, Ring of Honor, and the list goes on and on. Also, on the other occasions, I bring guests in as well to shoot the breeze about the one thing that I love, that we all love, professional wrestling. So join me each and every week for the Wrestling Matters Podcast on YouTube, AJW Wrestling Matters, the Wrestling Matters YouTube channel, SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/wrestling_matters_podcast, and any other podcasts that matters. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back to the final part of the Wrestling Matters podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. A little quick reminder, the following episode 152 of the podcast, can be listened to on Radio Big World. Look them up on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/wrestling_matters_podcast. For more information on the Wrestling Matters podcast, it is at WM Podcast, facebook.com/WM Podcast. Also, give us a like. Also, check it out on the YouTube channel, the Wrestling Matters YouTube channel, which is AJW Wrestling Matters. Also, check it out on the Swerve Network, like I said earlier on, Max Wrestling, Ruthless Aggression Podcast, Ruthless Aggression Era Podcast, S&M Show, The Good Old Age, like I said, I think I said Max Wrestling, Sunday Segway, Offshoot Radio, the list goes on and on. We are one big family providing the best podcasts on wrestling and other stuff for your listening entertainment. It is, check them out each and every week, guys. And mine is Monday nights, 9 o'clock, 4 p.m. UK time, I believe that it, 4 p.m. Eastern time, sorry, I believe that is, only on the Swerve Network, where you can listen to the Wrestling Matters podcast. Anywho, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to give a quick mention as well. Look out for the Keto and Jay show this week as well, because we're going to that's going to be recorded March 2nd. I don't know when that's out, but look out for it. Check it out on the SoundCloud as well. Look up Keto and Jay show on the SoundCloud, and check it out, because I'm going to be on it. That's right. I'm going to be giving my Fastlane predictions for the for the umpteenth time. But this is going to be cool anyway, because I talked to Keita last time she was on the show and everything, and she said she was going to have me on. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to going on the podcast and checking it out and seeing what's new in this world, ladies and gentlemen. I can't wait to check that out as well. Also, look out for the Ruthless Aggression Era podcast, and also check out the Worst of Wrestling podcast, or Wrestling's Worst podcast, the new show by Dave as well. Check that out as well, because I think I'm going to be appearing on that as well very soon as well. There's a couple of episodes coming out featuring me, so check that out as well. And that about wraps it up for the podcast. I'll be back next week with the same old stuff, guys. The best in professional wrestling. More news, reviews, and previews, and spoilers, and rumors, and all that good stuff. Unless I get some guests. I might get some guests as well. I don't know. We never know what's happening on the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. But I hope you've enjoyed this episode. This has been episode 152. And until next time, guys, my name is Anthony Walker for the Wrestling Matters podcast and the Wrestling Matters channel. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll peace out. Wrestling Matters, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change. Professional wrestling, this is it. This is us standing up. Yes, 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 yes. That's 13-14.
Dina, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold said so.
Wrestling fans, look no further for the most unpredictable wrestling podcast you've ever heard on the Max Wrestling Podcast, hosted by me, Dazzy Dangerously, with everybody's favourite captains, The Phoenix, The Butcher, and Mike Larkin, plus special guests, promos, and trivia.
Find out what's been going on in wrestling history as I take you down memory lane every week.
And The Butcher's Stupid Idiot of the Week. Get it!
And see if you agree with me as I choose every week's segment of the week in the world of wrestling.
The Max Wrestling Podcast is available on
YouTube, Podomatic,
Mixcloud, and Soundcloud,
and the Swerve Talk Network with other great shows.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Max Wrestling UK, or go to our website, maxwrestling.wix.com/maxwrestling.
And that's the bottom line.
Because we're out of time.
Yalakalikimaka.
Listen in, man.
Be sure to listen to the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast.
What?
Every Sunday with Kinny Killer and the Gal Dem Sugar Shugs.
Yes! Yes!
With all the news, views, and laughter that you want.
They like jet airplanes. Woo! They like long limousines.
Every Sunday, the Sunday Segway Wrestling Podcast on Podomatic, iTunes, and YouTube.
So why don't you choke on that, slap nut?
Are you sick of professional wrestling? Do you want to speak your mind about professional wrestling? Well, if you like a wrestling podcast, why not tune in to the wrestling podcast where wrestling matters, the Wrestling Matters Podcast. Each and every week, I talk about the best in professional wrestling from WWE, TNA, ICW, Progress Wrestling, Ring of Honor, and the list goes on and on. Also, on the other occasions, I bring guests in as well to shoot the breeze about the one thing that I love, that we all love, professional wrestling. So join me each and every week for the Wrestling Matters Podcast on YouTube, AJW Wrestling Matters, the Wrestling Matters YouTube channel, SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/wrestling_matters_podcast, and any other podcasts that matters. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans.
Hey guys, this is Mike Larkin.
And this is Stevie Nicks.
To check out the S&M Show podcast and more great audios, check us out on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/MCLarkin92. And we are now on the Swerve Talk Network, Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 3 a.m. UK time, along with the Max Wrestling Podcast, Offshoot Radio, Sunday Segway, and the Wrestling Matters Podcast. And also follow us on Twitter at SM Show 1 and at Steve Nicks SM. You won't be disappointed. Peace.